On है, okay. Good evening, everyone. Myself Subodh Mishra here to discuss about geography GS section. Students, it's a vital section, a very significant section for all of you. It's the beginning of first session for all of you. We are going to discuss the main content area of geography related to all the aspect of geography. So, all the aspect of geography mainly. Hello. Hello. So, we are going to discuss about the main contents of geography, geography GS section, and hope we will be benefited by the discussion. We are going to discuss the major aspect of geography. Let's begin from here. So, study session we have discussed about the syllabus area, and I have divided syllabus into two parts. One is a regional aspect area, and one is a cystic aspect area. Got that? So in whole of syllabus you will find two sections. One is a regional aspect and one is systematic aspect. And all the three aspects we are going to discuss. The three major content area we will find. The first is physical, second is human, and the third is economic. So suppose we are going to study particular continent, particular state area, or the particular state of country area. So we will discuss about physical, human, and economic aspect of content. In systematic geography also, we'll do the same thing. Suppose you have a physical geography, human geography, and economic geography. So there will study about the principle of physical, human, and economic section. So this is the syllabus area. We have discussed study also. Now we are going to discuss about the study method and the related questions here. Students, see the question, nature of question first. This year particular I am going to discuss. See, in our regional geography and systematic geography area, I am coming to discuss about the question related to this year UPPCS examination. So see, the question is asked from geomorphology. Morphology. So this was the first section of your question or the content geomorphology. So from there, they asked this section. Suppose you have Australia. On the western part of Australia, you have the location of Darling Range. So it was a unique question in that case. Second thing they ask about in geomorphology, they ask about the mountain area, mountain section. They asked about the location of New Folded Mountain. As we know, we have three series of mountain, like we have ancient mountain, the mountain of Paleozoic era, the mountain of second generation mountain of Permian age, and the third is a new folded mountain that is the mountain of alpine age. So they asked the mountain of alpine age in location. Suppose see you have a world map here. This is Africa, Saudi Arabia, we have India, and this one is a location of South America. So they asked the location of Atlas Mountain. It is of Morocco there, right? So they asked the location Alps in European section. In the same we will find here the volcanic mountain of Africa, that is Kilimanjaro. So from geomorphology there were two questions related to the location of new folded mountain and also some of the volcanic mountain. So if you go for this type of a study, a regional study with understanding of principle of geography, you can solve all these questions. Now come to the second question or second area of discussion after geomorphology. They asked question from climatology. Now see how we are going to solve the question, how we are going to tackle the problem related to different section of climatology or any part of your syllabus. In climatology you see they ask about the location of tropical cyclone. Tropical cyclone. So they asked about the name of tropical cyclone traditionally in different part of world. Again you see the location of tropical cyclone. If you see the world map, this is African area, Saudi Arabia area, this is Southeast Asia, this one is Australian area. So they have given you the name of tropical cyclone and you have to match the location. See, this is the location of typhoon, then you have Vili Vili, then you have the location of here in Mexican Gulf, hurricane. So in climatology this type of question was. See how in sequence you can see the location of tropical cyclone, the location of mountain, the location of particular range, and all are the part of regional geography plus systematic understanding. Now come to the fourth area you have, that is a discussion related to oceanography. So this year they ask question in oceanography that is related to oceanic current. Oceanic current. So it was a very simple question from oceanography. They ask about the location of Agulhas current, that is a part of Indian Ocean. They ask which current is related to Indian Ocean or which ocean is known for this type of current. You like this. See this one you have Africa, then you have Saudi Arabia, then you have this one Indian area, then you have Southeast Asia and Australia. Here we will find one location is here. This is a small island in the southeastern part of Africa. This island is named as Madagascar. So whenever Indian Ocean current coming to this area, this current bifurcate into two parts. The first become Agulhas current and second a Mozambique current. So there was very simple question from all the three areas. See, this year in UPPCS examination they ask question, all the question, very easy question from principle of geography. See in geomorphology there was very easy question. In climatology also it was a distribution of cyclone. In oceanography they have asked about the location of Agulhas current is a very easy question in that sense. Got that? So now I'm coming to the next section of your syllabus and then we'll plan how we can go for preparing examination for next year. Just listen all the section carefully, then we'll go for the planning of the area and then go for detailed study of the area. This is the motto of this lecture or the objective of this lecture. Now come to Indian geography. Indian geography area, the first question it was related to the location of mountain. See you have the ranges of Himalaya and we'll find one is Greater Himalaya, Middle Himalaya, then Sivalik. This type of ranges are there. So they change the name of mountain, and they ask about the location of Srinagar Valley or Kashmir Valley. So this was a location of Srinagar Valley, and two mountains were given as an option to select, right? So one was Pir Panjal and one was Greater Himalaya area, right? The option was Himadri, Sahyadri, this type of option. So again, we are not going to the detail of this question. I have discussed in question answer session. I wanted to give you the glimpse of the nature of question also. It was difficult or easy. Once you analyze the question, you will find that the question was simple, but some of the question in regional geography was a tough one. You had to go for a very detailed study of the area, right? Now, we have a planning for a next year, right? 2021 UPPCS target. And if we go to plan this area or this examination, we can go for preparing the area, detailed syllabus area, and we can follow the syllabus in such a way that we can cover each and every area in a very detailed way. Again, I'm going for a discussion. First of all, again you see the syllabus area, they have given three words of physical, human, and economic. These three words were given for your syllabus discussion area by commission. Physical, human, economy related to world and related to India. In both sense, we are going to discuss the physical aspect, economic aspect, and human aspect for world and India. For that, only three words are there. Now we have to find out the detail of this syllabus, how we can go for understanding the detail of syllabus, and how we can solve the many of questions asked in your examination. This year you will find there were 35 questions from geography plus environment and ecology. But that 35 question is enough one to qualify your examination. If you focus this area, you have very good command over these area. We can solve the content area and prepare also in such a way that we can have a very good score in geography and environment ecology section. So now we can start the session for discussion. What are the sources we can use for preparing this examination to score 35 out of 35? We have to target 35 out of 35. And what are the sources we can go for? First thing, we can go for NCERT book. NCERT book. NCERT books means all the 4 books of NCERT. I'm telling you the detail of that. See, NCERT means class 11, 1 and 2, both section. One is a physical geography, and the second is India physical geography. And the third one, second section is a human geography and economic geography. That is related to world section and India section. So the basic book we are going to discuss, these 4 books for your prelims examination. So these books will help you to understand the detail of contents and will have command over the content area. So 4 books of NCERT. Then you will find next area, that is a regional geography area. Regional geography area. In regional geography area, we'll follow class notes only, because old NCERT book are not so useful for present examination, but the location of different countries, the location of physical area, human area, economic area are very significant for your examination. So we will follow all these sections, right? So basic thing, we are going to discuss uh, 4 book of NCERT, class 11 and 12, and the major area of regional geography, class 6, 7, 8, will prepare from class notes. Okay? Sometime we, for UPSC or other PCS examination, in physical geography section, we study G.C. Leong's book. It's a very good book, but once you go for NCERT, you have very good command over the contents of NCERT. You can solve the questions. You can solve the question from this area itself. Okay? Now, next thing, the most significant aspect of preparation is Atlas. Getting this one? I want to discuss Atlas in a separate way. With your class note, textbook, you choose one particular Atlas. It may be Oxford. Oxford is a very good one. Black Swan area. Black Swan is also a good one. But nowadays, one very quality Atlas published from Indian publication is Strand Atlas. It is prepared by a number of IS officers passed out who cleared this examination, and it is very relevant for UPSC examination and state PCS examination also. So I will tell you, I will suggest you to go for Strand Atlas with your NCERT book and class notes. So these are the source area I have discussed about for the preparation. Now, I would like to give you the detail of each and every continent, content area from the section wise, so that we will have the brief understanding of syllabus. Then we'll go for one by one detail of each and every content. Now I'm telling you the first thing. I'm giving you about the first area of systematic geography, that is geomorphology. This is the first area we'll discuss as a content area, geomorphology. It is only one thing. What is geomorphology? What are the contents of geomorphology? Or you can say lithosphere. Once you have very good command over the content of syllabus or contents of subject matter, you can go for the depth of a study area. Now you have geomorphology, and in geomorphology we have 1, 2, 3 orders of landforms. Orders of landforms. Just stay here, understand very clearly. Once you are to remember the whole area of geomorphology as a content, you focus on 3 orders of landforms. The first order, second order, and third order landforms. This is all about geomorphology, I'm telling you. The first order landforms, the landforms or the series of landforms originated with the origin of Earth. Those are named as first order landforms. You have the origination of ocean bottom and the origination of continents. These are considered as first order landforms. So in the beginning of geomorphology, you must know the origination of continents and the origination of oceanic bottom. This is the first area. The second is second order of landform. Second order of landform means the landforms originated by endogenic process. It means the landform originated by internal force, by tectonic force. You will find on the Earth's surface, you have a mountain, volcanoes, and other topographical surface, and these landforms originated by endogenic process, so these are named as second order of landform. Volcano is second order landforms. All the folded mountain, the volcanic mountains are the example of second order landform. Now we have third order landforms. The landform originated by erosion and deposition. You can say the landform originated by denudation. Denudation means the landform originated by erosion and deposition both. Suppose in this area you have the surface Suppose this area there is erosion and the second area deposition takes place. So landforms originate by both process. The first is by erosion and the second by deposition, collectively known as denudation. So in geomorphology, if you have understanding of these three words, you can have understanding of syllabus also. Got that? You need not to go for the detail of other area, but once you remember three orders of landform, it is the total contents of geomorphology. First order, the landform originated with the origin of earth. Second order, the landform originated by endogenic process. And the third order, the landform originated by exogenic process, by denudation process. So very clear. So this is all about the syllabus of geomorphology, and one chapter you can include here, that is a rock system. Got that? Then we'll have total understanding of geomorphology. Now come to the second area. I'm coming to the next content. After geomorphology, you have the second area, that is oceanography. Oceanography. In oceanography, we have two things. You just remember the first thing, that is a nature of water. Nature of water. And the second is a dynamic of water. The first is nature of water and second is dynamic of water. Suppose you have the nature of water means the temperature of water, salinity of water. So this is the first area of oceanography, and second is dynamic of water, means the movement of oceanic current, tides, these are included in dynamic of water. So only two areas we can go for. One is nature of water and second is dynamic of water. Now the third area of your discussion, that is climatology. Climatology. See, what is climatology all about? Just you learn about the content area. We are discussing only the syllabus section, then we'll go for the detail of a study. So today's class is all about the discussion of detailed study of syllabus, and we are discussing the third area, that is climatology. In climatology, we study about the elements of weather and climate. The first thing, if you remember, then you can remember all the contents area. The first is elements of weather and climate. Now try to say, this area you have temperature, then you have rainfall, then you have humidity, and the last one you have classification of climate. Suppose if you understand the temperature area, rainfall area, humidity area, the formation of different forms of condensation, then we'll have very good command over the contents related to climatology, right? So students, this is a beginning. In the brief session so far, I have discussed the nature of questions so far asked in UPPCS and the beginning of detail of your syllabus. So far I have discussed about the geomorphology area, and geomorphology area I have used the term geomorphology, a study of three orders of landform. Very good. The second area we can remember the area of oceanography, and oceanography we have remembered the nature of water and also the dynamic of water. And third area I have discussed about oceanography, and in oceanography we have discussed about in climatology we have discussed about the element of weather and climate. Got that? And from this area or all the three content area we can cover from NCERT book, not to go for other of chutkas or a guide. You go for textbook particularly and class notes. It will give you the depth understanding of this area, and in that case you will be able to solve all the question whatever can be asked in your examination. So I have great faith in learning of textbook other than rather than going for any of guide or chutkas of market, right? So always focus on textbook. Now I'm telling you next thing about, you have human geography area. After physical geography, you have the section of human geography. And in human geography area, we focus the first population area. Try to see. Once it comes population, it becomes very confusing for students what we are going to study in population. It's very puzzling. Sometimes I feel that it's a less important area, the less interesting area. But I'm telling you, the study of population is very interesting area, and once you know the content, you will have much more interest in this area. So, in population study, we have three things. In population study, we have the first thing, that is size and distribution. Size and distribution. Size means how much is a number of population, how much is a population of particular area, and distribution means where is population, right? So it's a location also and distribution of population, all about the first section of population geography. So in population geography, you focus about size and distribution first. The second is a population change and population growth. See, students, you must write the detail of syllabus, then we'll work on these areas later on. So this one is the size and growth of population. Try to listen. These are change and growth of population. First is change. Change is the difference of birth rate and death rate, and also the number of in-migration and out-migration. Are you getting the one? Suppose in particular area, there is a change in number of population due to the difference of birth rate and difference of death rate. Then it is population change. Population growth. Population change is different thing. It is a change in quality of population. One is a change in quantity of population. Second is quality of population. Now the third area you have, that is a character of population. Character of population. Character of population means, try to understand this area. I am telling you. Character means what? Character of population means composition of population. Composition of population. You write there as a heading, composition of population. Composition means it is way to identify the people or population by some of the characters. And you can say it is the largest area of population study. See, we use sex ratio. Sex ratio. So sex ratio is one identity to identify male and female population. So sex ratio is one thing. The second we use, that is literacy. We can say literacy or age composition. Age composition means we identify people by their age. Child, adult, senior citizen, like this. With that, so in population geography, we include these type of things like sex ratio, age composition, religion, and other thing. Got that? So in population study, these are the main criterias we study as a content area. The first is the size and distribution of population. The second one is a population change and growth. And the third area, that's a character of population or composition of population. Then you see the next area, that is a part of economic geography. See, in economic geography, for world and India, we will discuss separately. In economic geography, we study about economic activities. we study about economic activities. In old days, we used to study about primary activities, secondary activities, and tertiary activities. Nowadays, there are 5 activities as economic activities. Just try to understand this area I'm telling you. The first thing you have are primary activities. Primary activities means the activities related to nature or associated with nature, and it can be agriculture, forestry, poultry, fishing, anything else, right? Second thing is a secondary activities. Secondary activities means it is related to manufacturing or related to the processing of raw material into finished goods. So once we manufacture any of things by taking raw material from the nature, then it is named as secondary activities. Then you have tertiary activities. Tertiary activities means the activities related to the service sector, or you can say clerical work, or the activities which support the primary and secondary activities area are named as tertiary activities. The fourth one, that is quaternary activities. Quaternary activities, this activity is related to research and innovation. See, anywhere, whenever we are going for research, it can be for two. It can be for administration and it can be for development. So the person engaged or the group of person engaged for this type of work by innovation or for a research purpose, they are considered as the person of quaternary activities. The last section we have, that is quinary activities. Quinary activities. Quinary activities means fifth activities, and it is the most significant aspect of our economy because they are the policy maker, they are exponent of particular area, and whenever they plan, they give suggestion to the government to implement the area. They are considered as the policy maker, or they are giving the advice to government. So they belong to quaternary activities. Now in geography, we use some collars for activities. Suppose we are using primary activities, the person engaged in this type of activities are named as reed collars, or the person do manual work by hand in agriculture field or any of primary activities area, or they are considered as reed collars. Now the second one, if the person have some technology, they know technology, they use technology, they manufacture or process something, they are named as blue collar. The first is red collar, the second is blue collar. And the third, the person do clerical work or official work to support primary and secondary activities. They are named as pink collar. So in a series C, red collar, primary activities, blue collar, secondary activities, pink collar related to official work, clerical work, and also those people are supporting the primary and secondary activities. Now it comes the third area, quaternary activities and quinary activities. The person do research and innovation for administration and for development are named as the person of quaternary activities, and in geography we use a white collar. Got that? Now see, we have 4 collars in sequence. The first is red collar for primary activities. The second is blue collar for secondary activities, pink collar for tertiary activities, and white collar for quaternary activities. Now we have quinary activities. The person would do some, they are known for policy making, they are the advisor of government or any of organization. So they are named as a golden collar. Getting this one? So I have used 5 collars: red, blue, white, pink, and golden collar. Every collar or every activity is very useful for the growth of economy, and all are interrelated, depends on the innovation work and also the policy making of golden collar also. So in economic geography, we'll study this area, the distribution of these economic activities and the principle related to these economic activities. So see, this year they asked question about the distribution of minerals particularly. It was quite different, and it seems like it was a traditional question of old NCERT book. Like you see the distribution of Krivoy Rog, iron ore of Ukraine, that was Krivoy Rog. Then you see the distribution of the place like Karaganda. So these were the old question or traditional location they asked this year in UPPCS 2020. Now I'm coming to the next area. So far I have discussed a student about geomorphology, a physical geography section, human geography section, and economic geography section. Now come to India section, the section of India. In India, we have two sections. The first is a physical section. We can go for the first book of NCERT. The second is a human and economic geography of class 12. So these two books fulfill the requirement of Indian geography. We have to go for the detailed study of these two books with your atlas. Now the next area, you have the third pocket area, that is a disaster section. Sometimes people believe that disaster is the most complicated area to tackle the questions. And I'm giving you for prelims purpose, disaster is a very interesting area and very easy area for understanding. I'm telling you, if you go for the books related to disaster, you will find difficulties if you go for NIOS and other IGNOU's material. IGNOU material is a bulky material. But if you go to the site of CBSE site, so on CBSE site you will find software copy or soft copy, PDF copy of disaster book, right? So 40 to 45 page, this is description of all the type of disaster, geological disaster, atmospheric disaster, man-made disaster, all type of disaster are there. So this book is sufficient for prelims, right? Other than current activities. So go for print out the content area from CBSE. Although this book is not available in printed form, we can have a copy from CBSE site, right? So disaster section we can do from CBSE material of class 11 and 12. 11 particularly, not 12, right? Now come to this area, the last section, that is ecology and environment. See, there is a different opinion about the preparation of ecology and environment among the students. Some people believe that it is a part of science, biology, botany, zoology. Some people believe it is a part of current affairs. See, there is a strong relationship with geography. Whatever the question is asked in climatology, this one, ecology and environment, all are related to the analysis from geography section. See, this year they asked about the question, the succession, right? And also the transition area. Some of the years are programs by the government, national parks, tiger reserve, and other sections were asked. All are related to geographical study. So for ecology and environment, a good book is there. You can go for. One is the Dinesh publication book, right? This is a book published for first year graduation student. Got that? Why I am giving you a suggestion of this book? Because it is related to a graduation, and this year or from some year back also, the government has made mandatory for all the people of science, commerce and arts student that all have to go for these books, and that book is Environment Ecology, in every university examination. So we can follow this book. This book has a detail of all required syllabus content, right? That. So by going through these contents, we'll able to solve related question or related areas. So this area, this is all about first session of our discussion. So students, I would like to recap my total discussion so far. I have bifurcated the study in two parts. One is a regional and one is systematic. Then we have discussed about the nature of syllabus, right? A geomorphology area, climatology area, oceanography area, India, ecology and disaster, every section. So why I'm telling you these things? Because these are needed to begin the syllabus. At least for the beginning of syllabus, you have a command about the content area. Then we can discuss about the detail of contents. So in today's class, this is a first section of class. In every day, we'll have two different sessions. We'll discuss about the contents of geography. So in today's section, we are going to discuss about the basics of geography, mainly for a prelims purpose. So mainly go for world geography first, right? We are going to discuss the detail of world geography. So we are going to discuss Europe as a discussion area. So today's class is related to the discussion of Europe as a general discussion area. Europe, we have two sections. First is a area of a geopolitical area, and the second is physical area. So in today's class, in coming some minutes, I would like to remember only the name of European countries by some of the terms. This is a beginning of your session. So go for, you write in your notebook the heading for Europe. You write Europe as a heading like this. So we prepared the map like this as a map of Europe and go for the detailed study of Europe. Got that? Try to see this area. We are going to study about Europe as a regional study. And the motive of this class to make you aware about the European countries and their regional name only. So in the north of Europe, we'll find one mountain here. And this mountain is named as a Scandinavian mountain. In the north of Europe, we have oldest mountain of Earth's surface like Aravalli, and it is named as Scandinavian mountain. And this mountain has a geographical area in different countries. We have Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland. These four countries are named as, collectively known as, Scandinavian countries. If you include one more country here, that is Finland, then it is named as Finno-Scandinavia. So write the first thing for discussion you note, what about Scandinavia? So you will write all the bullets related to Scandinavia. The first bullet point, it will be Scandinavia is one of the oldest mountain of Northern Europe. You can write there, Scandinavia is one of the oldest mountain in Northern Europe. This mountain has geographical area in four countries. The second point it will be, this mountain lies in four countries, and these are Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and Iceland. So collectively known as Scandinavia. And now second, you know the detail of that. The second you have, in the south of that you have Finland. If you add Finland there, the collective it will be Finno-Scandinavia. So with Finland, with Finland. All the 5 countries are named as Finno-Scandinavia. So this is only for knowing the geopolitical area of Europe. I am not going for the detailed study of physical, human, economic aspect. In the first phase, you must remember the name of country in Northern Europe. Got that? So now you have a very clear idea about the 5 countries of Northern Europe: Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Iceland, and Finland. So this is the area. Now I am coming to the second section of Europe. In this area you will find this is an area of Europe here. This is the area of Baltic Sea, and the surrounding Baltic Sea area you have 3 different countries. And these 3 countries are named as Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Getting this one? Collectively known as Baltic state or Baltic countries. From north to south, if you remember the name of country, the first it will be Estonia, then you have Latvia, then finally you have Lithuania. All these countries are considered as Baltic states. Now you see in the southern section here, in this area you will find one more country or the territory of one country, that is Rus. Rus has also the a territorial area or geographical area close to Baltic state or that. So now we have to remember what are the countries of, what are the name of the country from Europe section named as Baltic state. So the countries are Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and you have the small section of country, territorial area of Rus is also there. Got that? So this area we can remember the name of 3 countries of Europe. Now come to next area, this area. This is the area of Europe. Here we will find one peninsula. It is named as Jutland Peninsula. See, in the western part of Europe, Baltic state, one triangular area is there. It is named as Jutland Peninsula because it is surrounded by water bodies from 3 sides. From the eastern area we have Baltic Sea, and the western area we have North Sea area. Got that? So this is named as Jutland Peninsula. Actually it is a part of Denmark. So Denmark belongs to Jutland Peninsula. So in this way we can remember the sequence of countries. The first series was Scandinavian countries. The second series belongs to Baltic state. Now come to this area, Jutland Peninsula. In the south of Jutland Peninsula, we will find one canal here. It's a very significant area of Northern Europe, and it has been the major source of power for Germany also, communication for Germany also. So in this area we will find one canal. It is named as Kiel Canal. Getting this one? This is named as Kiel Canal. Kiel Canal means a canal constructed in the north of Germany and the south of Jutland Peninsula. This canal connects Baltic Sea and North Sea. Baltic Sea and North Sea means these are the 2 water bodies which is connected by Kiel Canal in north of Germany. Suppose they ask you Kiel Canal located in which country, then it will be Germany. And if they ask you Kiel Canal connects which 2 area, then it will be a Baltic Sea and North Sea area. So this is the location of Northern Europe. In Northern Europe, so far we have discussed about Scandinavian countries. We have Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, and Iceland. Then we have a Baltic state like Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Then we discuss about Jutland Peninsula. Now come to discussion of next country of Northern Europe. See, this is the European section of a map, you can say rough map of Europe. Here we'll find one lowland area or the area below sea level. You can say the area below sea level. So we can mark this area. So this is the area where we'll find there is a shallow water or oceanic water coming to the mainland area. So here we use one term, it is named as Benelux. Benelux. Benelux means Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg. All the three collectively known as Benelux, and in geographical term we use as a lowland country. So these areas named as lowland country in the north of Europe, or you can say it is also named as Benelux. Got it very clearly? So Benelux means BE for Belgium, NE for Netherlands, and Luxembourg, that is LUX. Got it clearly? Now see what European people has done so far. They have constructed a dam in the north of this area of Netherlands. So after constructing a dam, they reclaimed the land from the oceanic area and they utilize this area for agriculture purpose and for planning purpose. This land is named as a polder. So polder is an agriculture area or the reclaimed area of land from oceanic area. Now if you see the planning of Netherlands, the planning of Rotterdam, the planning of the area of North Netherlands, it's a wonderful planning like we have Chandigarh city or the planned city of India. In the north of Europe, they have planned the land by reclaiming the land from oceanic area, and we say it's a polder. So near the mouth of this area, near the coastal area, we have one powerful port there, a large port there, and this port is named as Rotterdam. Rotterdam. So Rotterdam is the largest port of Europe in the north of Europe, and this port is named as Europort or the Port of Europe, mainly useful for international trade. Now I'm telling you what is the Europort, why it is useful for your purpose and for understanding purpose. I go for first discussing the areas. Europort. Try to see this area. Suppose this area you have the location of European map, and in this area you have one country, that is Switzerland. From here one river is going there, that is Rhine River. From Rhine River there is a majority of trade from the European countries. So this river is going from Switzerland to Netherlands. So in this area we'll find the number of countries are there. On the western side we'll find France. In the eastern side we'll find Germany. Then you have Netherlands, Belgium, and a small country, that is Luxembourg. What that? So there is a trade relationship or a trade route from here. It is also named as Rhine Inland Waterways. So it is the busiest waterways in Europe. So from here, from Switzerland to Rotterdam, there is a navigation system. So all the goods of Europe is coming to the port area of Rotterdam. So it is named as Europort, the largest port of Europe. Right. Next port is also named as Rotterdam. Then you have Amsterdam. Now the next area of Europe I would like to discuss in the western section. You see this country here, the small pointed area on the western side. you have this one and this area. This is named as Portugal, and this one is named as Spain. So it is a pointed area on the western part of Europe, surrounded by water body from three sides. In the northern section we have North Sea. In the southern section we have Mediterranean Sea. On the western section we have Atlantic. So it is named as peninsula. It is Western Peninsula. In actual sense it is named as Iberian Peninsula. It is named as Iberian Peninsula, surrounded by water body from three sides, so it is named as Iberian Peninsula. So in this peninsula you can find the country like Portugal, Spain. Now in Europe, if you extend the area of Iberian Peninsula on the eastern margin, you will find France, Germany and Poland. So it is an extension of Iberian Peninsula on the eastern part of Europe. Now students, by these terms we can remember the major part of Europe and the name of European countries. See, this was the area of Iberian Peninsula and this is the extension of European Peninsula. By some of the geographical terms we will able to understand or remember the name of European countries. And now see, I am giving you the code words or the area again. Try to remember, try to recall the areas with me. A area, you have B area, you have C region, you have D region, and we have extension of D region. It's a extension. Now recall the name of country with me. It will be useful for you to recall all these countries. The first you see in the north of Europe, you have Scandinavia, and the name of country you can recall yourself. The second one, you have Baltic state, and you can recall the name of country again, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, like this. You have this one as a sea country, as a Jutland Peninsula. You have again E area here. It is an area of lowland area, the polder area, and we can remember Benelux. Benelux means Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg in the north of Europe. Now come to the western area of Europe. You can have this area. I have used Portugal, Spain, and the extension of Portugal and Spain, we have the countries like area you have this one, the extension of Iberian Peninsula. This one is France, Germany and Poland. Got that? So these are the area we can remember in European section as a map of Europe on the northwestern part. Now come to the next area of next section of Europe. I'm telling you. See, do focus here, and we can understand in detail in your language, very easy language I'm giving you. Normally every person understand English very well. If you focus the simple term I'm communicating with you, you will able to understand all the contents without any efforts. I think understanding geography in English is very easy, and if you focus these terms, then you will have total command over the content area. So what I'm telling you, do focus the contents I'm telling you with your atlas, and you will have total command on content area. It's my faith in myself also, right? So I'm telling you, this is the area of Europe. You focus this area. In this part of Europe, I'm telling you, this is a mountain. This is an area of Europe. You will find one mountain, suppose this is an area of Netherlands and Belgium. This one is a part of southern Europe. I'm telling you, one mountain is here, and every person of you know very well. The name of mountain you can give in your message book somewhere. You can give a message, write a message. This is the mountain, or say this is area of European section again. Again, student, I am telling you, this is the area. This is the northern section of Europe. Here you have one mountain. In the center part of Europe, there is one mountain. And this mountain is named as Alps Mountain. In the center part, we have Alps Mountain. Now try to see. Alps Mountain lies in 3 countries. If you find here, on the western part, this area, we have Switzerland. In the center part, we have Austria. And in the eastern part, we have Hungary. So we can remember 3 countries of Central Europe by the name Alpine countries. Alps is a mountain, and the area of Alps lies in 3 countries. And these countries are named as this one, Switzerland, Austria, and Hungary, collectively known as Alpine countries. Now, see, students, we have a very detailed name of, or the image of, Northern Europe and Central Europe. Got that? Now, we are not going for the detail of physical and other aspect. This time, we are only going for the name of country of European continent, Europe continent. Now, I am coming to the southern area. See, this is European section. This one is part of Italy. Now, I am coming to this area. Like India, there is a peninsular part in the southern part of Europe, and there is a mountain in the northern part of Europe. This mountain is named as Balkan Mountain. Getting this one, you will find in the north of Greece, you have one mountain. The name of mountain is Balkan Mountain. And this area is named after this mountain, so whole region is named as Balkan region. Balkan region. So in simple word, in not the tough words, I am giving you all the things in a very simple word. So in the south of Europe, you will find one mountain region, that is Balkan region, and this Balkan region lies in some of the South European countries. So here we'll find this country, that is Greece. Here we'll find Macedonia. Then we'll have Croatia, then Bulgaria, and you have Hungary. So all the 5 countries collectively known as Balkan countries. So students, it was a very simplest way, a very easy way to remember all the countries, all the name of countries in Europe. If you have a regional name, if you know the collectively name of different geographical area, geopolitical area, you can remember all the name of country first, then you can go for the detailed study of geographical area of Europe. Got that? So we can go for one basic visualization of map. Say, making a mental map is a way to understanding of geography. Suppose I have given you the name of different geopolitical region like Scandinavia, Baltic states, like you have lowland countries, Iberian Peninsula, then we have Southern Europe, Balkan states. You make a series of countries in clockwise or anti-clockwise, then you can remember all the name of countries of European section. Got it very clearly? Now come to the end of European section. Again, I am drawing the map. This is the area. Again, is a handmade, a freehand map. This is again the area of freehand map. Okay. This is a area. The last one is Caspian. Now see, the frontier of Eastern Europe. So this is a Baltic Sea, this one is a Black Sea. In between, it is a frontier of Eastern Europe. Just try to see this area. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are the geopolitical area of Europe, and by using this name, we can remember the name of countries. Scandinavian countries, Baltic country to Balkan countries, very easy to remember all the countries. Now I'm coming to the last section, try to see. That is the eastern part of Europe. So this area you have Baltic Sea and Black Sea. Between Baltic Sea and Black Sea, there is a frontier of Eastern Europe, and these area have 3 countries. These countries are named as Belarus. We can say these countries are named as the first one Belarus, Moldova, and Ukraine. So these countries are named as East Frontier of Europe. And after that, there is a separation between Asia and Europe, and it is these are separated by 3 water bodies or 3 lines, you can say. 2 water bodies and 1 physical line. Ural Mountain, Volga River, and also the Caspian Sea. 3 of physical feature divide Asia and Europe on the eastern part of Europe. Get it very clearly? So now, again I'm telling you. Now hope we'll able to remember the name of political area of Europe by using these terms, Scandinavia, lowland countries, and other terms. Now I'm coming to the certain point to discuss the separate issues of European section. Now see, in the outside area I would like to discuss the outer part of Europe. So this area you have, now geopolitical area is over. Now I'm coming to discuss the one particular area. You have this area as a Baltic Sea. In the north of Baltic Sea you have a Gulf of Bothnia. Gulf of Bothnia. You may have seen in your atlas Gulf of Bothnia. Try to see this area, Gulf of Bothnia. This is the area of northern part of Baltic Sea. Here you see the oceanic current is going from Atlantic to northwestern part of Europe. It is warm current here again. The nature of current is warm. Second, there is a huge amount of ice here. There is a melting of ice in the northwestern part of Europe. Second thing, there are a number of rivers are coming from Sweden, Finland to Baltic Sea. For that, so in that case, this area becomes the largest freshwater area in terms of quality of water. So this area has only 2% of salinity on the surface of Earth. Suppose the students, we always remember about the highest salinity on the Earth's surface. And we always remember Lake Van has the highest salinity on the Earth's surface. We never remember which area on the Earth's surface has the lowest salinity on the Earth's surface. And this is Gulf of Bothnia on the northwestern part of Baltic Sea. Now why there is a least salinity in Gulf of Bothnia? The reason is the oceanic current coming from Atlantic area to northwestern Europe, and the second is a melting of ice and the fresh water coming by number of rivers. So these are the reason for the less salinity in Gulf of Bothnia in the north part of Baltic Sea. So suppose they ask you as a facts question, nowadays they are asking a facts question also. I have seen this year, particularly in your PCS examination, the most of the questions were the analysis of regional geography. The most of questions were asked as a part of regional analysis. So Gulf of Bothnia can be the question, It is a part of northern part of Baltic Sea, and this area has a least salinity. So go for the next one. Next part after Gulf of Bothnia in Europe. Try to see this area. You have the area here. This is northern Europe. Now you have here, you can find this is the area of British Island. We have England, the southern part of Ireland. We have here Wales, that is a western part of this island. We have Scotland, the northwestern part of this island. We have Ireland, North Ireland and South Ireland, collectively known as UK, United Kingdom. Got that? So yeah, we can focus this area. We use different terms for British Island. We use Great Britain, we use UK, we use also United Kingdom. Let's make clarification about these terms. Once we are using for all the 4 geographical area, Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales and England, we can say it's UK, United Kingdom. So there it will not be the southern part of Ireland, it will be only Northern Ireland. Now once you are using Great Britain, then we will use Scotland, Wales and England as a collective part. Now you use England, that is the southern part of British Island, that is the southern section here. Now from here we like to find out, analyze the areas. Now see here, this is a water channel. We can say it's a English Channel. So it is an area here, North Sea and the part of Atlantic. Got that? So this area will find one channel of water there. Now come to discuss the surrounding area of Europe. After Gulf of Bothnia, then English Channel, then you find here, it is an area of southern Europe and it is a part of Italy. In this area you will find there is a Mediterranean Sea. Mediterranean Sea is a very unique area in terms of physical character. Try to find out. So in this area you will find a number of volcanoes. Try to see first the location of volcano, then go for the other characters. So here you will find there are 3 volcanoes located in the south of Europe in Mediterranean Sea. So this area you will find one location, that is Stromboli. Stromboli. You find a volcano, that is Stromboli. So this is active volcano in Mediterranean Sea. The eruption is very continuous and it is good for the direction of navigator. So sometimes it is pronounced it as lighthouse of Mediterranean. So it is named as lighthouse of Mediterranean. Now you see this area, you have Vesuvius. On the western part of Italy, there is a dormant volcano. It is named as Vesuvius. And on the eastern part here, we will have here the joint of North Italy and South Italy near Sicily. You have the location of Etna. So in Mediterranean Sea, there are a number of volcanoes. Sometimes they ask as a matching question or odd question. We can remember for a map location purpose. Got that? So say this is an introductory class, the first class for GS Geography. I am dealing with geography section here and would like to give you the very detailed analysis of all the section of world geography first, then go for the principle of geography. So the main objective of this course is to give you the detail of in the first series we'll discuss about the continent first. All the continent, we are discussing the first continent as Europe, then other continent will come simultaneously. The one major topic is natural region, we'll discuss later on. Then it comes the part of systematic geography. So those students who are going for English medium, to prepare or UPSC examination or state PCS examination. Once you are going for English medium, you prefer textbook from English book or English medium book, you can say. And then you will have a proper communication, proper wording for discussion of geography for that. So never go for any of guide chutkas or market chutkas. Always go for textbook to discuss the content area. So far, now you are able to understand the location of European countries only, not the detail of physical inside the Europe. In the last, I have discussed about the volcanoes of European countries, south of European countries. Now come to next area. So this area we are going to discuss about some of the physical features of Europe. Physical features means some of the area which can be very useful and relevant for principle of geography also. See here, in the outer part of Europe, we have discussed about Scandinavian countries. Here we'll find in the north of Europe, the coastal area of Norway. Getting this one, the coastal area of Norway. So in that coastal area we'll find there's a ice frozen area, and some of the area has permanent ice cover also. So this coastal area is named as a fjord coast. See, just stay here for a moment and discuss this area. There are different types of coast. If the ice frozen coast is there, the permanent ice cover is there, it is named as fjord coast. Sometimes they ask you, the good example of fjord coast are, the very good example of fjord coast is Norway coast, and the second we can remember the coastal area of Canada. Got that? So the area we can go for the other coastal area on the Earth's surface. Try to see. We use estuary coast. Estuary coast. We use delta coast. We use this one, Dalmatian coast. Dalmatian coast. And we use fjord coast. So in this class, I would like to clear the type of coast also, because I have elaborated a fjord coast as an example in Canada and in Norway. I am telling you this area, you have estuary. Just listen here. You have this area of India. Here, there is a Narmada river, Tapi river. These rivers has an open mouth near the mouth of river. There is a good connection between the oceanic water and the water of Narmada and Tapi. So sedimentation does not take place near the mouth of river, and this type of coastal area is named as estuary coast. Getting one clear? Now suppose there are number of rivers are coming to the Bay of Bengal area. This type of river has a thick deposit of sediment. So near the mouth of river you will find the formation of a delta. So this type of coast is named as a delta coast. So students, so far, once in a coastal area there is a deposit of ice, then it is named as fjord coast. Once there is no deposit of sediment near the mouth of river, then it is named as estuary coast. Once near the mouth of river there is a thick deposit of alluvial, then it is named as, which one is? A delta coast. Now this one you have on the western coast of India, there is a mountain, right? The mountain area is submerged in water, and there is a parallel mountain to the coastal area of India. This type of coast is named as Dalmatian coast. Suppose in an examination they ask you, in the examination they ask you the matching area. The coastal area of Gujarat is example of estuary coast. The coastal area of eastern coast of India is example of delta coast. The coastal area of Karnataka, Kerala and Maharashtra are the example of Dalmatian coast. And the coastal area of Norway, Canada are the example of fjord coast. So this type of matching they can ask you about the coast of India, the coast of different part of the country. So it's okay, fjord coast I have discussed so far in northern part of Europe. Now try to come to the eastern part of Europe for again a discussion of some of the geographical features. Now this is the area of Europe, and now you'll find the types of rivers are going to different direction. So students, I'm telling you, once you are going to study the types of rivers or any of information area, you just classify the information and see the details of that. Suppose in India, once you are going to study about the types of rivers, then we study the Himalayan rivers and peninsular rivers. Here in Europe, we can divide the rivers in different parts. So see this area. This is the area of North Sea. This is the area of Mediterranean Sea. This is the area of Black Sea. Then you have the area of Caspian Sea. This is Mediterranean Sea. This one is North Sea. Getting this one? So in this particular pocket area, there is a draining of rivers. The rivers are going in different direction. So we can remember this. I am giving you the detail here. So this area you have one country, that is Switzerland, and from here one river is going in north direction, that is this one. This river is named as Rhine River. Very powerful river for the communication or navigation in Europe. So this river travel from Switzerland to Netherlands, and it is passing through some different countries like you have Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands and Luxembourg. These 5 countries. So this country is named as, this river is named as a Rhine River. Near the mouth of river you will find a very powerful port there. You always remember the port. This port is named as a Europort or Rotterdam. I have discussed the brief discussion in some time back. Now I'm coming to the southern area. For this purpose I am giving you the name of countries or name of rivers. So in this area we'll find one more river. It is named as Rhone River. If you combine Rhine and Rhone collectively, it is a communication between North Europe and South Europe collectively. Got that? So Rhine-Rhone combination gave the communication between North Europe and South Europe. So Rhone River is just like a river Narmada in Europe. Try to see. Here you have Narmada, and there is a rift in Narmada. Rift means cracks in Narmada, right? So Narmada River flows in Rift Valley. It is in the central part of India. In the same way, Rhone River flows in Europe, in the central part of southern part of Europe, and there is a Rift Valley. In the east of Rhone River, there is a block mountain. Here you will find one block mountain. It is named as Black Forest. Black Forest. So in the eastern part of Rhone River, you will find Black Forest. It is a block mountain, the block mountain in the eastern part of Germany. Got it very clearly, students? In northern part you have Rhine River. In the southern part we have Rhone River, and the east of Rhone River, like Narmada. See, in the north of Narmada you have Vindhyachal, and south you have Satpura. In the same type, in Europe we have Block Mountain and Horse on both sides, and in between you have a Rift Valley. So once there is a fracture, there is a tension force, there is a origination of block mountain. So Black Forest is a good example of a block mountain in Europe. Got that? So you can remember this location. Now we have one river here. It is named as a Seine River. Seine River also going to the area of western area here. So near the bank of this river, you will find the location of Paris city. Now I'm telling you a very unique thing about Paris city. Paris city is just like a Mazouli island in France. See, a very unique, how it is a unique one. Suppose you have this area, in the center of river, there is a river island. Then the climate of that climatic area or the island area become very unique one because there is a moderate moisture and cool climate. So the center become a favorite area for tourism. In our country, you have Mazouli Island in Assam, in Guwahati, close to Guwahati, or in Assam area. So in France, on the midway of Seine River, there is an island, and after that the people have constructed number of bridges in all the direction. So Paris is a beautiful city located on a river island. Got that? The climate is very favorable, the sceneries. So Paris is a very good island located on a river island. Got that? On which river? It is on Seine River. Got that? So now go to the eastern part of Europe. From the Black Forest area, number of rivers are going to Black Sea area. Try to remember, try to focus this area I'm telling you. There are number of rivers in Eastern Europe begins with D. See, one is a Danube. One river is Danube. One is a Dnieper. One is Dniester. One is Don. Are you finding there? Everywhere you will find the name begins with Don. Somewhere D is silent. Got that? The first is Danube. Next you have Dnieper, Dniester, then you have Don River. All the 4D is going to Black Forest. Getting this one? These rivers are going to drain in Black Forest area. Getting this one? So this area you will find, sometime they ask you which river is not going to Black Forest. Then here we'll find one more river, that is Volga. Get this one? Volga actually going to Caspian Sea. Got that? A very clear concept you have. All the D related, Don, Dnieper, Dniester and Danube are going to Black Sea area, and this one, Volga, going to Caspian Sea area. Got that? So these are the rivers of Europe. Got that? These are the rivers of Europe. In a systematic way, I have discussed about the rivers of Europe. Now, so far, students, I would like to try to recall the areas so far I have elaborated for you. Now you are able to understand the name of countries. You can memorize the name of countries. You can visualize the name of countries. Some of the outer feature of Europe also you can visualize. Now we are going to the climate of Europe. It's the climate of Europe. And for this purpose, I would like to go for the first thing, that is local wind. You just focus in this area in coming some minutes. We will have very clear about the location of wind and their characters. In Europe, you will find some of the local winds are blowing in the area, and I would like to go for the detail of that. Try to see. Suppose this area we have, this is the southern section again. Suppose this area you have the location of Alps mountain. In the north of Europe, close to Switzerland, you have Alps mountain. And from Alps mountain, the wind is descending from that area in the part of Switzerland. This wind is named as a Fohn wind, F-O-H-N. Fohn is a wind, descending wind from Alps to Switzerland, and during descending, the temperature rises and there is a huge melting of ice. I'm telling you one concept here. Suppose the wind is rising up, then the temperature will low due to the volume of air, because volume of air always increasing with the height. Suppose the wind is coming from mountain area to lower slope of the mountain, the size of wind will decrease, the volume of wind will decrease, and the temperature will rise. So in that condition, the nature of wind will be as a hot wind. So sometimes they ask you, Fohn is what type of wind? Normally it's a katabatic wind, it's a hot wind in Switzerland. So this is the first wind of, local wind of Europe in the northern section. Now come to the next area, next wind I would like to go for as a part of next discussion. Here we will find a river valley I have done so far. One river valley is a Rhone river valley. In the south of France, there is Rhone valley. In France, we will find one cold wind is coming from northern section to the south of France. It is named as Mistral. From northern France to southern France, it is named as a Mistral wind. It is a cold wind of southern France. So see, this valley is also named for, or the famous for, the production of wine. France has a rich source of wine manufacturing area. So sometimes they ask you, Mistral is a wind of which country? It will be a Rhone valley in France. So this is the second wind of Europe. Now come to the third area. You always remember only name and nature. It is enough to solve the question. So this area, the wind is coming from Siberian area to European area. So this wind is named as a blizzard. Blizzard. So see, blizzard is also in Europe and also in a northern part of Canada. So in both places, this wind is named as a blizzard. So this wind is similar to Mistral. This wind is coming from north to south with much more amount of ice crystal. It's a very cold wind, and it is a wind from polar area to main part of Europe. So if you name the countries, the first is Fohn as a hot wind of northern Europe. Second is Mistral, the part of southern France. Third one is blizzard as a wind of northern Siberia to main part of Europe. And the next one is, this one is Bora. Bora is a wind blowing in the Mediterranean Sea area near the Adriatic Sea area. So this is also the local wind of southern part of Europe. Now something I would like to tell you, that is a confusion. Maybe people will have confusion about the location of wind and the naming of wind. Suppose some of the wind is blowing from Africa and finally going to Europe. Then there will be problem to name the wind from which country you can name. One is a destination place, one is a origin place. Now in the north of Europe we'll find three wind here. One is here. This one is Sirocco. One is Gibli. And one is Khamsin. If you have a spelling problem or you are unable to see the detail, I am giving you the real name of these three winds. The first is Sirocco. Sirocco in the center, Gibli on the western part, and Khamsin in the eastern part. Now try to understand what I am telling you. These winds are originating from Sahara Desert hot wind with dust particles, sandstone, red sandstone, and moving towards Europe and coming to the European section, there this wind is named as blood rain, right? So blood rain means the wind is known for by a particular name. So the wind carries the sand particles from Sahara and drops on the European coast. There it is named as blood rain due to red sand particles. Got it clearly? And the other winds comes in and Ghibli also going to European section. Now it comes the major discussion area. If they ask you Sirocco is a wind of which country? Although this wind is going to this area, Europe, near Italian coast, but this wind is particularly wind of Libya. This one, Libya, yes, on the central part of northern area. And this area, Algeria, Ghibli, and from Egypt, it is Khamsin. Got that? So in this way, we can approach regional geography. Got that? So my motive of today's class was to give you the beginning for geography, the major beginning, or we can say, because regional geography is a major part of UPPCS examination. Although in today's class I have not gone for the very detail of regional study. We like to go to add more information about the remaining section of regional geography. You must go through the basic of NCERT book, then come to write the detail of class note, solve the previous year papers and also question related to this topic. Then we will have total command over this area. My approach is that we should go for answering at least 10 to 20 questions on each and every topic. Suppose I have done some of the portion of Europe, then you go through the detail of this section, then solve the question related to this area, and finally you will find that you are a master of your subject. For that, it will be better to go for old NCERT book. The most part of that old NCERT book is not so useful. Only the political area and the physical areas are useful for present day examination. The remaining section you do from my class notes and with the help of Atlas. Got that? So this is the area. Now I am coming to the last section of today's discussion, European discussion. Now see, in the eastern part here, suppose you have the area of Europe here. This is a Black Sea area again. Now you have Caspian Sea area in the eastern part. Between Black Sea and Caspian Sea, there is a transition zone between Europe and West Asia. Getting this one? There is a transition zone between Europe and Asia. Now try to see. There is a mountain between these two, between Black Sea and Caspian Sea. This mountain is named as Caucasus Mountain. Caucasus Mountain you know very well. It is a linking area between Caspian Sea and a Black Sea. Got that? Now see, this mountain is located between in these three countries. One is Georgia, second is Armenia, then Azerbaijan. All the three countries are the part of West Asia, or you can say it's the end of Europe and the beginning of West Asia. So these countries are the major discussion points. Sometimes they ask you a question from this area. The first one is Georgia, then you have Armenia, then Azerbaijan area. Now sometimes they ask you which of these countries are named as landlocked countries, are the part of landlocked countries. So see, Armenia is close to Caspian Sea. Azerbaijan is close to Caspian Sea. Armenia is in the center part of Caucasus state. And this one is Georgia. is a part of a western area. But Georgia opens in Black Sea. That is why you will find Georgia is not a landlocked country. Now the real definition of Black Sea will find a real definition of Black Sea, a real definition of landlocked country, landlocked countries. So see, the country which does not have a coastal area or does not share a boundary with oceanic area is named as landlocked country. But if the country has coastal area along with landlocked sea or lake, then that area will be named as landlocked countries. So see, Azerbaijan and Armenia. Azerbaijan has a coastal area with Caspian Sea. Armenia is the center one and Georgia is a western area. So in this case, Azerbaijan and Armenia are the part of landlocked country. I hope this discussion, a brief discussion today, is a very first session for Geography GS English medium class, and hope this section will be very useful for you, although it is not so a lengthy session. Tomorrow I would like to go for the detail of two sessions. In first session we are going to discuss about the part of Indian geography, and then second session we'll discuss about the regional geography of world, right? So these two sessions will be very useful for coming prelims examination. As I told you, my motive for your preparation is 35 out of 35. The punchline of this course I'm going to deal for you. We are going to discuss for you with all accuracy, with motive, that we will able to solve 35 out of 35. Means all the major question of geography, all the major question of environment ecology will able to solve with all these discussion. So motive is clear. There must be perfection in your commitment also. So by going through the regional geography, systematic geography, environment ecology, we all will be benefited by the efforts, your efforts and my effort, and it will be 35 out of 35. Got that? So with this word, I'm closing this session today. I will discuss again. One session will be for Indian geography and one session will be for world regional geography and the principle of geography. So with this word, again thanking you all. आप सभी को धन्यवाद. Very thank you very much for listening me with patience, and I hope the discussion will be useful for you. Thank you all of all. But